Welcome back to Next Gen Investing. I am Jenny Horn alongside Alex Coffey, and we are joined by a very special guest for International Women's Day today. That is Ann Hand, the chairman and CEO of Super League Gaming, to discuss really women in business as well as the esports industry and the metaverse. So Ann, first of all, thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday. And I read a little bit about you, and I heard that you started in the oil industry, which, wow, what a space right now, my goodness, and then moved obviously into esports. So tell us a little bit about your journey to get there.
Yeah, I think it actually really speaks to a little bit of the theme of today's content as well. I remember when I was first in energy, and I got really motivated by the idea of clean energy, alternative energy, and actually using the very impressive balance sheets of oil companies to be a force for good. And there was this recurring theme with me that I was always very interested in brands that had an opportunity to debunk myths, kind of root for the underdog. When I jumped over into gaming, I had many friends, dear friends, say to me, what have you done? And in the early days, I was myself trying to figure out, what have I done? This is quite a big leap. And then there was something really empowering about realizing that, I'm versatile. And I think it's a theme around women in business. I think that a lot of the women I've worked with are highly creative and collaborative, pretty resilient. And I think that versatility as well really speaks to what the next generation is looking for.
No doubt about that. And first off, congratulations on all your success and happy International Women's Day to you. Thanks for joining us. Fast forward to now. Now you're chairman, CEO, Super League Gaming. For those who are maybe a little bit less familiar with your company and what you guys are doing, you want to give us a kind of the quick elevator pitch of the market that you guys are addressing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I often say we are the rocket ship to the metaverse. Now, when I say that, I'm not being cheeky. The Metaverse Gaming space has been around for over a decade, and we've been in it for about 7 years. So that's about the fact that this next generation of gamers don't just want to compete inside video games. They want to commune, they want to create, they want an opportunity to participate in the whole experience holistically. So whether they want to be aspiring game designers or just kind of play in new creative experiences. And so Super League, again, we have a set of owned and operated properties. We have extensive ad tech and analytics that go deep into platforms like Roblox and Minecraft. And we allow not only engaging experiences for the end user, the player, but we also create a two-way street and a very authentic conversation for brands to get into that space.
Yeah, and I also saw you all have more than 75 million monthly active players in different gaming platforms like Roblox and Minecraft, so huge developments for you all as well as those companies. But really in terms of growth right now, I think the metaverse is sort of undergoing this identity transformation as people begin to really grasp what it is. Now you all are a little bit ahead of the game because sort of Facebook made that move and I think ignited this movement, but you all were several years before that. So what does growth look like in this metaverse, as this is a relatively new space, but you all are sort of a leader?
Yeah, again, what I try to really impress upon investors is when we're talking about metaverse gaming, it's not new. So we're not all just kind of latching on to the bandwagon effect of dropping metaverse in every conversation we can have. In fact, if you look back several earnings call scripts, you can see that this is something that we've always had a consistent drumbeat about. But what I do want investors to know is that what happens in metaverse gaming goes so far beyond the gameplay. It's a really unique intersection of pop culture and community. It's almost like the digital cul-de-sac or playground. And in it, it's where friendships are made, but also a lot of commerce is done. And so, when you think about all these trends like phygital, like the fact that the next generation doesn't really see a difference between their physical and their digital lives themselves. Very similarly, there's even an intersection on the next generation of investor because the player is the investor. They put their dollars where they believe in things, where they commune, where they have an interest. And so that intersection of, your life interest and where your investment dollars are going or where you spend your time, I think is becoming more and more of a bleeding kind of edge for this generation. And the important thing on National Women's Day is 50% of gamers almost are women. We're about to hit that cusp. And that just shows you that, again, there's something very beautiful and empowering about these metaverse gaming worlds because they're level playing fields, they're gender neutral. And again, it gives a really safe, great place for brands to get into a conversation with those consumers, those very elusive consumers they're trying to get to know.
Well said, and building on that, when you're looking at particularly games like Roblox or gaming environments like Roblox or Minecraft, it's not just entertainment. This is a creative outlet for the younger generation, the next generation, where they're learning valuable skills, they're innovating. This, in my mind, is the epicenter for what the metaverse may ultimately become. But you mentioned this sort of misconception and challenging this misconception that this is a male-dominated space. So not only on International Women's Day are we celebrating, women in business, particularly those who are leading the charge of innovation like yourself, but this whole space is growing, particularly amongst the women in terms of demographics as well. As you talked about pushing 50%. This is no longer what we're picturing, which is, a very, male-dominated space.
That's right. That's right. I think gaming gets a bad rap, because like anything that's done online, there's that anonymity. And with that anonymity, it can attract some bad behaviors. But that's the beauty of these open world gaming platforms, is because they speak to a creative interest as well. It's while they can still be highly competitive and exciting, there is really kind of a way for a much broader demographic to participate and to get some kind of thirst met for them based on their unique ways that they like to both build community and to compete and play. And as far as growth goes, there are other game platforms being developed right now. They're starting to get traction that speak to an older demographic as well. So while we have that unique foothold of reaching 75 million monthly players in younger gaming metaverses, and you could call that probably second only to the people who make those games themselves, we are excited about some advancement that's taking place that will allow us to also be building metaverse worlds for ourselves and for brands for older demographics too.
And given the unique nature of the last year, to say the very least, I had more friends gaming than ever, female and male alike. So it's very positive to hear it's pretty evenly split from what you're seeing. But obviously, things have shifted a little bit as we return to a more normal world. So are you seeing any sort of trends as the world reopens and we're back to, say, the new normal is what they're calling it?
I said this often right when COVID hit. People would say, well, what do you think? Once this is over, everybody will run outside. And sure, temporarily they do. And when kids come in and out of school, you'll see little waves of their engagement, as you'd expect, when they now have more things competing for their time. But the fact of the matter is prior to the pandemic, gaming was already bigger than TV. It was bigger than streaming. It was 3 times the size of the global film box office. It was already the dominant form of entertainment. And the reason is because of the interactive nature. Something stickier and deeper happens when you're talking and engaging with people while you're being entertained. And, that's why it's different than me passively watching 3 hours of Netflix on a Saturday night. And so it's that stickiness that this younger generation has always known is there. And I think those of us who used to play games like Galaga and Pac-Man, it's a learning curve to catch up with the fact that gaming's here to stay.
No doubt about that. And I'm glad you mentioned kind of where gaming is relative to where it started, 20, 30, 40 years ago. Where do you see this going? It's almost as if this adoption and where it fits in terms of entertainment is ever growing, but the innovation is incredible as well. And Jenny had mentioned sort of you being on the cutting edge and the forefront of this metaverse revolution that we're seeing. But I'd also talk about I'm a sports fan. I turn on ESPN. There's times where I'm seeing video games on there in esports. So this is growing not only just from a playing standpoint, but as almost an entertainment as just being an audience as well.
Yeah, I often say we do a lot of broadcasts for Topgolf around a game they've made called World Golf Tour. And I often say that if that was streaming on CBS on a Sunday afternoon, it might just trick my father into thinking it was a live broadcast. The avatars of the golfers are that great. And I always think about the day when that is being broadcasted, when it's not PGA season, And maybe though it's Tiger Woods playing in the video game, and maybe he is playing in real life in the game, but he's playing against a 15-year-old from Des Moines, and the 15-year-old wins. I mean, that's the beauty of gaming. That's why not only is it highly accessible and affordable, but it's also something that is very democratizing, that, you know, in a given game of NBA 2K, you might just be able to have a slam dunk no different than LeBron. And so that's the beauty of gaming. And one of the things that really drew me to it, even though I maybe looked like a little bit of an outside candidate to come in and run the company, it was really about debunking the myth of who a gamer is and why gaming is good for you, and how empowering it can be to young women, to physically challenged players. There's a beautiful thing that it does, and the source of community and friendships. I've had people often say that it's the way they keep in touch with their high school friends. So even when life takes you in different directions, some people have kids, some people don't, some people stay in their hometown, some move far away. The game keeps them connected and takes away some of those walls that life would usually put up.
Absolutely, and it's even empowering for me to just see another woman in such a position of power in this esport industry. So thank you so much for sharing all of your thoughts with us, and your company sounds so excellent. And really, I completely agree, much better than sitting at home and watching Netflix for 3 hours. So that is Ann Hand, the CEO and chairman of Super League Gaming. Thank you so much for joining us.